thank you so much for being here with us this morning. And what we would like to do is give you a brief introduction to the exhibit that you will see in just a few minutes. And we're going to have a few remarks by a remarkable member of our community, General Charles Cleveland. But what I'd like to do is start by first thanking you all for being here and to explain a little bit about what this exhibit is. The exhibit is entitled Two Lines. The subtitle is From Deathline to Lifeline. It is the story of two nations divided by war, Germany and Korea. We know that Germany reunited in 1989 when the first bricks and stones came out of the Berlin Wall on November 9th. The Gyeonggi Tourism Organization in Korea is primarily responsible for the vision and for the collection and cataloging, for getting the copyrights for all of these incredibly powerful photos. The story starts with the war and the division and the destruction, and it progresses through to the survival of these great nations. And so the stories tell the story of this journey from war and destruction to reunification and global and economic success. That would be the right word. Commemorating is probably the right word. The 60th anniversary of the signing of the Korean armistice that brought active hostile intentions to a halt. The 25th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the European Greenbelt, which extends from the Barents Sea, Finland, all the way down to the Black Sea. These lands were protected. And because they were protected, they have become environmental strongholds. And in the reunification of Germany, this was addressed. Sometime, hopefully in my lifetime, definitely in the lifetimes of some of the younger people in this audience, Korea will be reunited. The location of having us here, the Troy University's Rosa Parks Museum, for the Two Lines exhibit, it is just the perfect opening venue for this, because Montgomery as a city also suffered through a tremendous time of hostilities and division. As the birthplace of the civil rights, we had our own dividing lines that were very, very visible to this population, to the local population, but to the world over time in the mid-50s. And we are very fortunate to have in our audience an incredible number of honored veterans. Our guest speaker, but we've got a number of others who have served, the story of war is not a pretty story, but as time progresses, nations heal. If you want to see this exhibit, you have to come to Alabama. That's pretty amazing. And it's a very powerful statement about the connections between our state and these great countries. We have a lot of German industry, we have a lot of Korean industry, we have very strong ties and very strong bonds. And this is just one more step in strengthening that. It stands for Alabama, Korea, Education, and Economic Partnership. And it is led, the executive director is a dear friend, Mi-Soon Han, who organizes student exchange trips. She doesn't just do great gallery exhibits. The real mission is global leadership development and training through exchange students. And she hosted and sponsored a tremendous 2-week program in February. She had 25 students and 5 adult educators and took them around the state. They visited Tuscaloosa, they visited the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and she's got a group of American high school students that will be going over to Korea in June. And this is a powerful start to teaching and inculcating the values of cultural tolerance, understanding, and mutual respect. And that's what AKEEP is all about. And it would be my honor and pleasure to introduce to you a man that I've known since we came here 14 years ago, and who I have incredible respect for. And General Cleveland is here to share a few remarks. He had 4 confirmed kills, and he had 2 probables, but they couldn't confirm it. And it wasn't until the Soviet records were opened up in 2000 that there was a Soviet MiG pilot who witnessed the kill. General Cleveland, who had earned it but was not recognized, became the 40th known fighter ace of the Korean War. I'd like you to join with me in a warm welcome for General Charles G. Chick Cleveland.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out Saturday morning. I want to thank Gene Charbonneau and Misun Han, all the members of GTO and AKEEP for putting this great display on. I think you'll, if you haven't seen it, it'd be wonderful. I'm sure everybody in here has driven past the Hyundai plant on their way to Mobile perhaps or somewhere. Every time I go past it, I get a little shiver of pride that just maybe I played a very small part in helping to get it here. When I left Korea, which was in 1952, that place was devastation incarnate. There was death and destruction all around. And as I flew out of Kimpo Air Base on the way home, I looked down and I said, you know, this country may never recover. Well, of course, the Korean miracle is a well-known, established fact. But the fact that this small country the size of Indiana became the 11th largest economy in the world is really an astonishing feat. But I got to go back in 2007 with a group of 8 fighter pilots who had flown in the war, and we were guests of the Korean government. And I was absolutely blown away. I remember in 1952, every Korean I saw, civilian, most of them all civilians, were walking with their head down, in rags. And when I went back in 2007, I just had to go out and walk the streets of Seoul and observe the Korean people. They're all walking with their heads up, with a purpose in life. They were purposeful. But it's incredible to think that the war ended in 1953. And it's become not only the economic miracle, but the democratic miracle of the Far East time. I hope that gives some people who are worried about our involvement in Afghanistan and Iraq and say we didn't get anything done. That's nonsense. We planted the seed of democracy in those 2 countries. And it won't happen right away, and I won't probably be here when it does happen. But in 35 years, those 2 countries will be democracies. And I tell you, I come to love the Korean people. I drive Hyundais, and I'm proud of that. Let me talk just for a moment. What was the contribution of the Air Force? It was the ground war. What did the Air Force do? Well, we did a whole lot. We didn't win the war. The Army and the Marines won the war, but we kept us from losing the war. Absolutely. And that's not just my judgment. That's the judgment of General Walton Walker, the commander of the 8th Army, He said if it hadn't been for air power, mostly Air Force, some Navy, some Marine, we would have been driven into the sea. And that was close air support, interdiction, airlift, air-sea rescue, you name it. That's what the Air Force contributed to that war. Well, the Berlin Wall is down, so there's really only one line now. That's the DMZ. And we can hope that maybe someday there'll only be no lines if they take that DMZ down. And that's going to happen too. Maybe not in our lifetimes, but they will get together again as one country, as they should be. And thanks for coming this morning.
Thank you, General Cleveland. At the time, pat my shoulder because I was young. I said, I have fought in Korean War, being a citizen of poor country, right? Economically powerful country, and Hyundai is here, and Hyundai Heavy Power is here, and so many Korean industries are here in Alabama and employing Alabamians and giving them a job in this kind of tough economic time. And because I love both Alabamians and America, and as a Korean, I want to bring the differences because Korea are forever indebted and giving back to America, and that's what I'm proud of. So at this moment, I can really say, as you know, I can really be proud of how poor we were. And now I really am passionate about bringing Alabama students to Korea and see how industrious Korea country is and how hardworking, how passionate they are about education. And I want to really bring our rural Alabama high school students to Korea, so please help us. And also bringing Korean students to here and learn about Alabama. So thank you for your sacrifice, and we honor each and every one of you. Thank you.